Topic of today's share is the Arba Kosos, a deeper look at the 4 cups of wine that we have at the Seder, Pesach Seder, depends which order you say it in. And somebody asked me a question this past week about the Arba Kosos. I'm going to ask the question, and it's a fascinating thing that there's different approaches to answer this question. But we're going to get there. So the 4 cups are Keneged Arba L'Shonos of Geula. This is found in your source sheet in the Mishnah in Arba Pesachim, in the first Mishnah, in the 10th parak of Maseches Pesachim. It says in the end of the Mishnah, it's so important that a person has 4 cups of wine by the Seder. Even if he's very poor, he still has to have 4 cups. And afilu min hatamcho, even if he's taking from the soup kitchen, they have to provide for him, and if they don't, he has to do whatever he can to get these 4 cups. Rabbi explains he has to even sell the shirt off his back to get the Arba Kosos, to buy wine for Arba Kosos, or borrow money, or find someone who will employ him so he can buy the wine for the Arba Kosos. What's more famous is the Rashbam quotes a Medrash. It's a Medrash Bereshis Rabbah. You see the quote on the left-hand side of the page, in the left top corner. So towards the middle of the page, and towards the middle of the quote, the Bereshis Rabbah is the first words on the line. 6 lines up on the bottom. The Bereshis Rabbah. Rav Huna b'shem Rabbi Abba Amar Keneged Arba L'Shonos Geula Ha'amurin B'Galos Mitzrayim. The reason why we have 4 cups is because there are 4 L'Shonos of Geula in Yetzias Mitzrayim. Vaytzeisi, Yisalti, V'Ga'alti, V'Lakachti. That's the order in the Pasuk, at least. The Parshas Va'era. Okay? So, the main thing we're going to speak about is these Arba L'Shonos of Geula and the significance of Vaytzeisi, Yisalti, V'Ga'alti, V'Lakachti. Before that, there's another source in the Medrash that actually says that there are 4 cups of wine in the Seder for a different reason. The different reason is in Parshas Vayeshev. Okay, is that better? In Parshas Vayeshev, at the end of the parsha, we find Yosef in Mitzrayim, and there are 2 people in the jail together with him. They both have dreams, and he interprets the dreams. One of them was served drinks to Paro before he was the chief butler, and before he got out of the jail, he had a dream, and the dream showed him that there was 3 says in the dream, this you don't have in front of you. In my dream, there was a grapevine, there were 3 branches on the vine, it started sprouting and becoming ripe, and there were ripe grapes on it. Because Paro biyadi, and I had the kais of Paro, 1 kais of Paro in my hand. I took the grapes, and I squeezed the grapes into kos Paro, 2nd kos in the pasuk. And I gave the kos, this cup, al kaf Paro, so the 3rd kos that he's putting into the hand of Paro. Pashup Pshat, it's all 1 kos, right? Just keep saying the word kos again. Vayomer lo Yosef, zeh pisrayna. This is the interpretation. Shloishes asarigim, shloishes yamim him. The 3 branches are 3 days. V'oid shloishes yamim, in 3 more days, yisa Paro et reshecha. Paro will lift you up, that back to your appointment. V'ashivcha kanecha v'nasata kais Paro, and the 4th kais you'll put the kais of Paro into his hand. Kamishpat arishan hashayisa mashkeyu, and you'll be saved from being in the jail, and you'll be 4 kosos that are mentioned right here. And ask the Kli Yakar, what is the pshat? What's the connection between what it says in the Medrash Rabbah, the Chazal were misakin 4 cups of wine by the Seder, kineged the 4 times that it says kais that are mentioned here in the pasuk, with the butler getting out of jail. Now he brings the Gemara. This is the Kli Yakar, Talmud of the Maralmi Prague, I believe, and he says the following. There's a Gemara in Maseches Baba Basra, Tav Ches Amud Beis. The Gemara says, speaking about a pasuk in Yirmiyah and the nevuah of Klal Yisrael going into exile. The Beis Hamikdash Rishon is going to be destroyed. Klal Yisrael are going into exile, and Yirmiyah Navi, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is talking to Yirmiyah, and he's telling him that Klal Yisrael is going to go into Golus, and terrible things are going to befall them. They're going to die. They're going to be killed by the sword. They're going to have hunger, without food, and they're going to be taken into captivity. That's what the pasuk says. Perek Tesvav pasuk Beis in Sefer Yirmiyah. Rabbi Yochanan Maseches Baba Basra comes and says that the order of this pasuk is bedavka. Whoever's later in this pasuk, it gets worse and worse as the pasuk goes on. Kolam uchar bepasuk kasha mishalafanov. First it has those who die, they die, but they might die with dignity. And then you have with the sword, and the sword, it's minavel, it degrades the person killed by sword. And then even worse than that is by hunger. And then Rabbi Yochanan says that the last one is shevi, taken into captivity. Ad shevi, ki kulu isnu bei. When a person is taken into captivity, they have all of these things. They're at the whim and at the hand of their master to do whatever, for them to die, for them to be killed, persecuted, and tortured. And that's what goes on in the Beis HaSoar in Mitzrayim. All these tortures in the jail of Mitzrayim, a person who's in that jail could befall them their fate, they could endure any of these ends. Okay. When a person leaves a jail, such as the Egyptian jail, like the butler was in, so he should drink 4 cups of salvation, because he was saved from 4 levels of things that could have befallen him, and that he maybe were happening to him. When a person is a shvi, is captive, he has all these. When he gets out, he's saved from all 4. That's why by the Sarah Mashkim it's mentioned 4 kosos. HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed in a dream that he would get out of the jail and he'd be saved from all 4 of these. So Chazal learned, and that he should drink 4 cups of Yeshua, of salvation, like David HaMelech says, Kais Yeshua Isesa, that the cup represents salvation of Yeshua. On Pesach also, when we get out of Mitzrayim, we have to drink 4 cups. We were also captives in Mitzrayim. And the one who's captured has all of these. He could die there. He could be killed by cherev, tortured, degraded, and he could be hungry and famished. And finally, he has the 4th one, which he's locked up, he's imprisoned, and that's all 4 different types of sorrows upon him that he's saved from. So that's a beautiful Kli Yakar that explains the connection, and he says, and that's why Yosef saw in the dream here that he was going to be saved, because it was the 4 kaisos of Yeshua, and he was going to be saved from the 4 levels of Shvi, of captivity, and the end of Parshas Vayeshev. Okay, now that was beautiful. I made a shahako before we started.
Okay, your mouth isn't on
here. Okay. This is from Sefer Bereshis. We haven't started Shibud Mitzrayim yet, but still, it all began on one level with Yosef HaTzadik, and there's remazim to what the Muslim of getting out of the jail is Klal Yisrael getting out of captivity. Actually, I believe that is based on the Gemara Chazal that says that on the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, I believe, that was on the day of Rosh Hashanah that Yosef HaTzadik got out of jail, and it was also on the day of Rosh Hashanah that the Avodas Perach of Mitzrayim stopped, that they were no longer subjugated to that level of Avodah in Mitzrayim. Okay.
Well, how long was that for them?
6 months, approximately 6.5 months.
6 months they didn't work hard?
They had different makkahs and different, they were, for 6 months, they had this level. You have to check the Gemara exactly what it was. But I recently saw a Rabbi Chaye that said that it was Avodas Perach, that's what stopped on Rosh Hashanah. Okay. Now, the connection to Rosh Hashanah, that's a different story. Rosh Hashanah being a day where we're saved from the baggage that we carry with us. Okay, the Chatoim. Now, in Parshas Lech Lecha, in Parak Tesvav, you don't have this in front of you. We'll get here in a minute. You know what? Before we do this, let's take a look at the Ramban. In the Psukim with the Ramban, it's on your source sheet. Shmos, Parak Vav, Va'era. We're going to have the 4 Lashonos of Geula. The second thing that we have 4 kosos connected to the 4 Lashonos of Geula. Okay, it's Parak Vav Vav. Shmos Va'era, Parak Vav, Pasuk Vav, and we're going to read the right hand side of the page. Psukim. L'chein Emar L'Bnei Yisrael. This is HaKadosh Baruch Hu again talking to Moshe Rabbeinu. And he says, tell the Jewish people that Ani Hashem, I'm going to take you out from the bondage of Mitzrayim. That's the first one. I will take you out mitachas tivleis Mitzrayim. And I will save you from their avodah, from their servitude, enslaved to the Egyptians. The third one, and I will redeem you, with an outstretched arm, and with very great shvatim. Sounds like it's the makkos. The shvatim is the retribution on the Egyptians of the midas hadin upon them. And that's the third one, and the fourth one, and I will bring you, I will take you as a nation. I'll take you to me as a nation. Vayisi lachem, and will be to you leilakim, as a God. And then you have all these 4 lashonos. V'lakachti eschem li la'am. You'll get to be my people. Then you'll know ki ani Hashem l'keichem hamoitzi eschem mitachas sivleis Mitzrayim. I'm the one who takes you out from underneath the sivleis of Mitzrayim. Ve'vesi could be. Maybe I saw this pshat. I'm thinking of it now, that when it's all over, then you're supposed to think back all the way to the beginning, and not just to the last step that you were saved from, but we go back to the beginning. And after all 4 levels, then ki ani Hashem l'keichem, go back to Hamaitzi. Think of from the first step. Hamaitzi Haschem v'tzeisi mitachas sivleis Mitzrayim. And we think of where we were before it all started and the levels that Hashem took us through. And then we reach this awareness, and Hashem takes us to the ultimate after the Yeshua from Mitzrayim is over. We take you to Eretz Yisrael, we take you to the land that I raised up my hand in a shvuah to swear La Seis Al Avram Yitzchak Yaakov V'Nasati Yisrael Lachem V'Yirasha Ani Hashem. Okay. Now, the Ramban explains, it's already from the Lashonos and the Psukim, what are these 4 Lashonos of Geula? Okay?
What's the Lashonos?
Lashonos is a terminology, a language, it's an expression. There's 4 expressions of salvation here, of Arba Lashonos of Geula.
tongues, no? Use tongues literally.
Lashain is a tongue, literally. That's true. What we do with our tongue is we express ourselves. Okay. Pasuk, the Ramban, right next to the Psukim, he takes us through these four Lashonos. The first one, Vaytesi Eschem Mitachas Sivlos Mitzrayim. The Ramban says, Hashem promises us, Sheyotzi Yavtichem Sheyotzi Yisam. It's the small print under the bold print. Yavtichem Sheyotzi Yisam Mi'artzam LaYizvu Oid Kovid Masam. Hashem promises to Klal Yisrael that they're going to be taken out from the Artzam, from the land of the Egyptians. That's Vaytesi. And Mitachas Sivlos Mitzrayim, they won't be soivel anymore. Kovid Masam. The weight of the masa, of the bondage, of the heavy labor that was upon them. That's the first one. Then the Ramban says, now it's over. So what's v'hitzalti? You're not suffering from the heavy bondage. So what's the second one? V'hitzalti eschem me'avaydasam shlo yimshulu b'hem klal niyaz lam b'mekaymam l'mas oived. Not only you won't be in there in the Egyptian land, underneath their hard, heavy labors, but you won't even be like a laborer for them, that when you work in your own back at home, you'll have to give a tax, or what you do will be like a mas oived, that you'll be like a mas is like a tax, that you'll be working for Paro. Maybe half of what you do goes to Paro, or everything that you do goes to Paro, and you get paid or something, like the Egyptians were when the famine in Egypt happened, and they had no food, and they had to sell themselves as slaves at Paro. So they worked on the land, and they worked, and whatever they produced, perhaps they got a portion. They got just enough for themselves to live on, and the rest went to Paro. That is v'hitzalti. V'hitzalti eschem me'avaydasam. You won't be slaves. You won't be servants. So first of all, you won't have the avodas perech and the kovid masa. And now, besides that, you also won't have be avodim, even if you're in your own home, and even if you're on your own land. But you could still be avodim to Paro. It could still be that you're responsible to Paro. V'go'alti, yeah. Let's see the Ramban first, then we'll take you to other commentaries on this. The third one is V'go'alti. V'go'alti eschem. Now, the Ramban says something fascinating over here. We don't usually think of it like this. I didn't see this mentioned in the other Mefarshim, a few other Mefarshim that I saw. V'go'alti is a Lashon Mecher, sale. When you find that the Torah uses a Lashon Geula, so we find that you could redeem land if you sell your land, your inheritance, before Yovel comes. So you could redeem your land. How do you do that? You calculate how many years were left to Yovel when you sold it, and now how many years are left to Yovel at this point, a few years later, and you see what percentage was each year worth of the price. If you charged $100 and there were only 5 years left to Yovel, so you know that each year was $20, and now 2 years passed, so you subtract $20 per year that passed, and you have to pay what's left to get your land back. Right? You'll pay the $60 left to get your land back. That's Geula. Or you have a slave, and the pasuk says that his family or Klal Yisrael could redeem him, and he has 6 years left till he's Eved Ivri, and he has 6 years left, so he could be redeemed. The 7th year he goes free. So that's redemption, that's Geula. How is that shaykh to Mitzrayim? In Mitzrayim, did Hashem pay something to get us out? Was there a Geula here that we were taken by a Goel? That there was. What is that?
The other Mitzrayim who didn't go, the army, he let them live. He gave them something.
The ones who didn't go.
Let them go chase B'nai Yisrael. The children, the women, the other men. He let them live. That's what he gave them.
He gave them their life.
Gave them their life.
Okay. Take a look at the Ramban here. The Ramban says, it's very similar, basically the same idea that you're saying, but he starts a step earlier, and the step is that the Makais, the Shvatim Gedolim, the Makais that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put on the Mitzrim, put the Mitzrim in under great dangers for their own lives, until the Mitzrim came and they said, take the Jewish people, God, they're yours, you could have them, just give us our life back, take away the Makais from us. Hashem put Shvatim, Makais, until the Mitzrim said, Hinei L'cha Yisrael, here's the Jewish people, b'pidyon nafshenu, as a pidyon, there was an act of redemption here, the trade, instead of our lives, here, stop the Makais and send the Jewish people out. Kitam geula kinyan mecher, geula is like a mecher. So, this was an extra level of redemption. Why is this, the Ramban doesn't explain, why is this an extra level of redemption? First, we're taken out from Mitachas civilized Mitzrayim. The Ramban says we're not in their land. He said, sees in that Vaitzesi. And then we're not even Avadim who have a debt that we owe to the Egyptians, to Paro, that we have to work for them, or give what we make to Paro. And now, the Ga'alti. What is this extra level of redemption Hashem is granting us? He's giving them Makais until they say, Hinei L'cha Yisrael b'pidyon nafshenu. So, what do you say?
So this is the owner is saying, I'm abandoning my claim to you. That's the transaction that's going on that's referred to by Gula. No?
And why is that a higher level? In other words, what does that add to, besides Vaytzesi Eschem Mitachas Sivles Mitzrayim, and besides Yitzal Eschem Yavidasam, what does this add? What are you saying? Explain it better. Explain it.
It means they don't have the Mitzrim don't have a claim on the Jews. They're releasing all claims which they have to the avodah of the Jews.
The owner themselves is giving it up.
Yeah.
But I think even one thing further than this, that the owner didn't give them up for free. When the owner gives them up for free, so then the owner
can go back on that.
That's right. Or the owner could say, "Look, you always have to be makir type to me. You owe your freedom to me." But if you pay the owner off, and he got everything that he had, and and now you were bought out. He was bought out. He didn't do any favors. Whatever he had left, you paid whatever in the geula for the aretz or geula for the abdos. You paid him off, and now he gave it back fair and square.
Isn't it the other way around? The Jews left with all the good stuff.
The Jews were given by the
So
Egyptians.
it's like they're being paid to leave.
Yes, because Baruch Hu promised Avraham Avinu that you'll go out for a chush gadol, right? And Hashem told Moshe that please do this for me as a favor. I want to be Mekayim Hashvua to Avraham Avinu, that they should go out for a chush gadol, and that was very important. But in terms of the slavery from Mitzrayim ending, because Baruch Hu is saying that even if we look at it like the Mitzrayim really owned you, and they had some monetary rights to you, nevertheless you're going to get freed without being somehow indebted to them, because they're not going to you're not just going to run away, and not just are they going to pull you away from them, or they're going to say go free, but they're actually going to give you in a transaction that they're going to see our lives are endangered. This is for our own benefit that we have to send you away. Question?
No, it's just the consideration is reversed.
They got also, besides getting freed, they also got all of this, all of the
I'm paying you to leave.
It's interesting.
All of the rechush.
There's a story in the...
They weren't getting paid to leave. They were taking all these riches together with them when they were leaving.
Don't forget the Egyptians lost their slaves. You know, in itself that's a loss to them. As far as they're concerned, not as far as we're concerned. We're pleased to get away from them.
Yeah, and by the Yam Suf they took
For a
them all together.
contract, in reality you need consideration. So
There's a
it's like
story
reverse.
in
You're
the
getting paid.
Gemara, I think it's in Sanhedrin, that in the days of Alexander the Great, there was some Egyptians who brought a lawsuit in front of Alexander based on all the silver and gold which the Jews took with them. You're familiar with it?
I've heard such a thing before. I don't know.
And
Never heard of it.
so, yeah, it's all there in the Gemara. In fact, recently, a few years ago, there was some Egyptian jurist, lawyer, who wanted to bring a similar suit against the Jews, and he was looking to do it. He
Yeah, I
said,
heard about
have all this gold and silver in it.
I think the statute of limitations probably ran out at this point.
Whose statute of limitations? The Egyptians?
Well, it depends which court he wants to bring it in. Every court has a statute of limitations. Which can bring certain things.
Okay. You have to speak to Mr. Bendel, an expert in the field of here. Litigation. Okay, so and yeah, one shot in that is that they worked for so many years and they didn't get paid anything,
That's right.
and this is getting back pay.
That was what the Jews said in front of Alexander the Great. And according to the Gemara, that Alexander gave the Egyptians a few days to reply to that position, and they never came back with a reply. So Alexander dismissed the suit against the Jews.
Interesting.
With cost or without?
Prejudice.
Okay. I believe there's a pasuk in the end of Parshas Bay that says that when the Bnei Israel left Mitzrayim, the Egyptians told them that they should take it, they should keep it, even though normally and originally they took it. They were said that they want to borrow it. The Egyptians told them, keep it, go, take everything and go. So now we have three levels. The fourth one, v'lakachti eschem li la'am. So Hashem says, I'll take you as a nation to me. You're totally freed. I'll take you as a nation to me. Says the Ramban. What does this refer to? It refers to Matan Torah when they got taken by Hashem in a covenant of the bris with the Torah, that they were entered into this pact on Har Sinai, and that's l'kachti eschem li la'am, lashon likuchen, like marriage, Yevayer, and also marriage. The vayachem al Har Sinai, the tikavlu HaTorah. When you come to Har Sinai, you get the Torah. Kisham nemar. There it says, "V'yisem li segula." You'll be a treasure to me. You'll be my special one. From all the Rashi explains on that pasuk, "V'yisem li segula," that from everything, "Kili kol haaretz," the pasuk says. Don't say what is mine. "Kili kol haaretz," and from everything that I have, you'll be my precious one, my special one. And that came from Matan Torah. Now, somebody asked me a question, and the question is, we drink 4 cups of wine by the Seder, and there's 4 beautiful L'shainos of Geula, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saving us. He's saving us from the civilized Mitzrayim, from being locked up in their land, and He's saving us from the Avaydasa, from the servitude, and the Ga'alti Eschem, and I'm taking you to even a higher level of Geula, and then V'lakachti Eschem li la'am. I'm taking you to be my special people, and now you're no longer like any of the rest of the nations, but this is the level, you're back to the level of the Avos HaKadoshim, like a Merkava for the Shechina. You're together with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and you're back to your status where the Avos, the potential of the Jewish potential of being at Har Sinai, and then
Hashem chose Israel. He says Bachar, right? Bachar Banu, right? But really, if you look at it, we're the ones who said, okay, right? You put the mountain over us, not you're dead. So like we chose the Torah. But where do you find the Bachar Banu? Is this the place where you find
is Asher Bachar Banu by Mitzrayim, or is it by Matan Torah? That's what you ask. Okay? And
Anywhere.
we'll
Find
say
any place where it
in
says
the
it.
pasuk, the bracha is divided into two, right? Asher bach rabanu mikol amin, and then v'natan lanu es tarasai.
Og the
So
Nash.
Chabanu first.
Yes. So.
But when? When did it happen? Was this it?
It did,
Place?
I believe it happened by Yetzias Mitzrayim when Hashem said, "B'ni b'chari Yisrael," and He chose them for this. They were leaving Mitzrayim for this goal of
But the other
Tavdin,
nations
and so it
had
came
free
by
will
Hashem.
too, right? Other nations had free
But
will.
Hashem told Moshe
Hashem went
Rabbeinu.
to all of them first. If I have something that I want to give you, I don't go through the whole crowd first. Maybe someone's going to grab it. They had free will. And I just go to you and say, here, I have a present for you.
Not if you know how it ends.
So that looks like we chose it, not we were chosen. So
It's a
I'm
good
asking,
question.
where does it say that
This is a good
chose
question.
us?
This is a good question. Why Hashem went around all the Rashi and Chumash says a fascinating pshat. Hashem teaches us derech eretz, that we should be Pesach b'shalom, and Hashem really knew that they weren't going to say yes. It didn't fit with them. It was fits with Klal Yisrael. What Klal Yisrael was holding. But the point is that Hashem, based on the shvuah of the Avos, saw this potential in Klal Yisrael, and He took them through the whole Geula from Mitzrayim, and the whole end result was that Gezelecha Ha'os. This is going to be the sign that you're going to see what the goal of everything is, that you're going to get to a point where you're going to see this is where Hashem is the one who took us out, and He promised us from Meirash, from the beginning, you're going to get to Har Hazeh, to Har Sinai, and that's what the whole purpose of Yetzias Mitzrayim was getting to there.
There's a famous poem by Og the Nash. How odd of God to choose the Jews. It's not so odd. The Jews chose God. So this is,
but it began with the Avos. It began with the forefathers.
I have somebody on my side.
One of his cleaner.
I was looking. Somebody asked me a question. I was looking for an answer to this question, and I found too many answers to the question. It was too confusing for me. The question is, okay, so we have 4 Lashonos of Gula, 4 cups. Now, is the first one Keneged the first cup? Is the second one Keneged the second cup? Is the third one Keneged the fourth cup? The third and the fourth? And which cup parallels which step of Geula? Okay? There's maybe I'll remember the Sefer I'm talking, but I saw maybe 3 or 4 or 5 pshatim in this. I think the Sefer Tamim and Hagim brings 2 different pshatim, and the pshat that I liked the most is in a contrast that I have from one of the Rosh Yeshiva and the Panovich Yeshiva, Rabbi Shmuel Markovitz, and he goes with the Ramban's approach, which we just followed, and then he takes us through the 4 cups very briefly. He doesn't go into it at length, but it parallels the 4 Lashonos of Geula. Okay, and the first cup.
I would not think it goes chronological order.
It should. Okay, it should. I don't think I saw any other. I just saw like 4 other pshatim, and one pshat is that no, the first one it says in Kiddush Asher Bach Rabanu Mikolam, and Ramimanu Mikol Lashain, the Kiddushanu bin Mitzvaysav. So that's the 4th one. Okay, and I saw various different pshatim. So then, when I first initially thought about it, I thought the opposite way. The highest level of the Seder, we get to Nirtza, and Nirtza is Me'ein, the Gula Hasida. We're going to be back to be with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with Giloi Panim. We're going to see Hashem eye to eye, so to speak, and we're going to no more Hester Panim, no more Golus. It's going to be Shira Chadasha, and we're going to get to that level of song where we see everything fitting into place. So that's what I thought, that the last one would be Velakachti. So he says like this. Kaitzis alalu perushim apashad shashaisim l'chayim al geula. We're making a l'chayim on the redemption. Hakais harishon hu al yitzia misivlas mitzrayim. The first one, the first level of Yitzias Mitzrayim. Tachas sivlas Mitzrayim. Okay, again, even he doesn't say why Badavka. Maybe we're working our way up to appreciating the levels of Yetzias Mitzrayim. In other words, and we'll explain this more in a minute, but the first one is Vaitzeisi from the Sivlis. Hakais Hasheni hu al Yetzia me'avaydasam. Hainu me'ashtilta sham Mitzrayim. That now we tell over the whole Haggadah, and we speak about the fact that everything that we were saved from the Avodah and from the Sevel, and now we're totally free. I'll tell you why, even though he doesn't explain exactly how this goes, it really resonates with me based on the Gemara that he's going to bring in a second. So the first two is Vaitzeisi. We're going in order now. The first one is Vaitzeisi from the Avodas Perach, from the Sevel, from feeling the Kaved Masam, from the heavy burdens. The second one, that we're no longer slaves, we're free. Kais Ashlishi, who al Masha Mitzrayim Kiblu v'Nenshu b'Makos, v'Yisanu et Yekadosh Baruch Hu b'Zra'ah Netuya. And now he adds on. This is the third one, that v'Ga'alti Eschem b'Zra'ah Netuya, v'Shvatim Gedolim. Hashem gave Makos onto the Mitzrim and took us out b'Zra'ah Netuya. Heim nichnesu tachtenu v'niyu b'mkaimenu. We switch places. The Egyptians now are the ones suffering. The Egyptians are the ones who are getting the Makos and the terrible Sevel and Inoy. And we are instead of them. And there was and HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that you're switching places. I'm taking the Jewish people free, and you have the Makos. And the way they're going to become free, the Ramban explains, is because you want this to end.
Yeah, but the Jews were there for 9 of the month. Only the 10th they were gone. You said you have the market and the Jews will go free. That's only in the last one, not for 9. They had the market and they were enslaved.
Yes,
they didn't let them out.
What Marco is saying is that the all of these Makos, even before they became free, were putting to feeding the Mitzrim of their medicine, so to speak. But everything they were doing to the Klal Yisrael, you're in their place. The way, everything, and the Malbim explains this at length, how this works, why it was Midah Keneged Midah, why everything was happened to the Egyptians is what they put onto the Jewish people. And they're switching places. And the ultimate is that now Klal Yisrael is going to be free through you giving up your life and your for them. The Egyptians became the ones who became broken. We sprouted and flowered. And the fourth cup, so the third one is Berachas HaMazon, and we thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for that. And the fourth one, HaKadosh Rabbi, Huel Har Sinai, Umatan Torah, Eretz Yisrael. The fourth cup, we're getting to the highest levels. Now, so he says, now again, it's hard to see each one of the cups we do a mitzvah with, so we're not fully explaining. The Chazal say that Hashem was Mesakin, the Chazal were Mesakin 4 kaisais derech eros. After they did that, they said each one should be special, each one should be a mitzvah. Kol chad, the Gemara says, Kol chad v'chad navid bei mitzvah. Let's do a mitzvah. But part of what the Mefarshim and I personally struggling with is, how is each mitzvah parallel these 4 levels? But Rav Markowitz is definitely taking the Ramban and taking it and saying, each kos, we should feel we're progressing in the Geula. Now, here it goes. This is we're running out of time here, but the Gemara says a very fascinating discussion. There was a machlokes, I believe it was Rav and Shmuel. I'm not sure. I think it's Rav and Shmuel. By which kaisais do we lean by? And apparently it was there was a brisa or a Messiah that they leaned by 2 of the cups. So one Mando Amar said, you lean by the first 2 cups, because now we're becoming freed. we're speaking about the slavery, and we're becoming free. And the other Mandamar says, no, not the first 2 cups. The first 2 cups were still slaves to Paro in Mitzrayim. The last 2 cups were already free. Now we should lean. And the other Mandamar says, no, now you should lean. The first ones were going free. We're feeling the freedom. Then that last 2, Maida Hava Hava, what already was. We're past that already. So the Gemara says that we do like we do like both Mandamrim, because we have no resolution to this. We lean by all 4. Okay, very interesting. You can delve into this Gemara.
Were they free by the first 2?
So what we see, they were what definitely is going on here is that the first 2 cups are feeling the slavery, going out from that slavery, and the last 2 cups we are free, and we have the Suda, and we're feeling the Cheiros already, and now Birchas HaMazon is after that, and now Nirtza. The question is, are we still supposed to be leaning? I would have thought, yeah, we're still feeling like the Cheiros the whole night.
The fact of the matter is, all of these Lashonos are in the future. So at the time they're said, at the time Hashem said this,
nothing came true yet.
Huh?
Yes.
It was all in the future. This is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to. So I don't see why, from the point of view of which is Cheiros and which is. The reality is we are slaves of the times that all this was said.
True, but now that we are celebrating the salvation that came about, this was promised. Now it came about, and we appreciate all the 4 Lashonos after they happened, right after HaKadosh Baruch Hu did this for us, because He told us beforehand what He's going to do, and we could appreciate the significance of those different levels based on what the promise that He promised us. So now,
I can't remember if it was the English subtitle saying we now lean like free men, like free men, as if this is what free men would do, or if that's part of the Haggadah. I can't recall.
It's probably the English subtitle, but that's the spirit of the Haggadah, that we're leaning their Cheiros to feel like we're now free men.
Because the people ate them, the majority of them, on a lounge, which was like an extended bench with one side, and you sat there and they had a little drink.
Yeah, you feel free. You feel
like that's the way.
Like
people didn't sit at a table like we sit. They were on a lounge bed, like with elevated ones.
Feel elevated, and you feel not just your head feels elevated. The whole body feels elevated. So what Rav Markowitz does is he connects this Gemara to the Ramban Pshatim, that the Gemara, the Ramban is telling us that the first 2 is the Sivlais Mitzrayim, and then the Avdos, right? The Ramban's telling us, and Hashem's freeing us from these levels of Shibud, and then the last 2, the Ga'alti Eschem B'Zra Natuya B'Shvatim Gedolim, what Hashem did onto the Egyptians instead of us, and then V'Lakachti Eschem Li La'am. This is a certain level of beyond not being Istachas Sivlas Mitzrayim and not being Avadim. Now we're getting this level of Geula that the Egyptians are getting the Makkahs, and we are watching them, and we are at the the ones who are being Paireach and sprouting forth, and being the ones who are not suffering, and the Egyptians are suffering instead. And then we're taken to Hashem as a special people. We ran out of time here. This Baruch Hashem, Klal Yisrael has many commentators on the different Lashonos of Geula.
Now you're one of them.
And I can't resist. Just to end off with this, the Rabbeinu Bachai goes through beautiful. He's a Talmud of the Ramban, Rabbeinu Bachai, and he usually goes to the derech of the Ramban. But when he gets to this psukim, most of it he follows the Ramban. But the third one, the Goalti, he explains a little bit differently, and it's as follows. He says that this all happened in chronological order, and the first thing was that Klal Yisrael was freed from the service, from the bondage that they were in Mitzrayim 6 months before they left, he says, and from Rosh Hashanah, and they weren't tachas civilized Mitzrayim anymore. Then Hashem took them out. You're free men. You're not avadim anymore. They have no shtar chayv on you. They have nothing. They have no claim on you. You're free. No longer avadim. The third one was by Kriyas Yamsuf, and we know in the Haggadah it says by Kriyas Yamsuf that was the ultimate of the Shvatim Gedolim, of the Makkos. If you know there were 10 Makkos in Mitzrayim, then there were 50 al Hayam, because this was an etzba and this was a yad times the etzba multiplied by 5. So a finger in Mitzrayim was 10, and here there was 50 Makkos on the yam. So the ultimate of the Shvatim Gedolim was on the yam, and until the Jewish people got to Yam Suf, they were still not 100% free, because yes, Paro sent them out, Paro let them go, but Paro could chase after them. Maybe Paro would come after them, try to take them back. Lo and behold, he does.
Paro was a Bukhar. He wouldn't give up his own life. He'd give up other people's lives, but now
that Paro and the Egyptians are in the Yam Suf, now they breathe a sigh of relief. There's no one to be scared of, to be embarrassed from. No one's going to say, I was your master, and so on. And then after Kriyas Yamsuf, now they're ready to go to the next level of Matan Torah, and L'kachti Eschem Li La'am. We should be Zaycha to the Geula Shlema, the Meir Yameinu, Shana Haba B'Yushalayim HaBenuya.